So here we are. This is the last in the series of Little Stellar Fox, aka Jamie Ann. We talk about her origin story. It starts with hiking. This is the first time somebody's told me that their origin story starts with hiking. It's pretty interesting. It's a short one. The last two segments were pretty long, but I hope that you enjoy it, and I'll talk to you later. Bye. Ladies and gentlemen, today I bring to you Jamie Ann, aka Little Stellar Fox. How are you doing today?
I'm doing pretty well. How are you?
You know what? I'm doing well. Last week was a long week, but it's been a lighter week this week, so I can't complain. So I spent some time today watching the One Prop episode from Rotor Riot, and I gotta say that looked like a lot of fun until bolts started flying everywhere.
So, like with most Rotor Riot episodes, a lot of things happened that didn't make the cut for the 13 minutes you guys saw. There was a lot of actual thought process and science behind what we were doing. And the screws coming out was something that we totally we thought about, and we were like, this should be okay based on everything we did.
Yeah.
Definitely super duper dangerous. Definitely one of those things that I mentioned multiple times while we were filming. I was like, hey, don't do this at home, you guys, because they're
one of those made it into the cut. Yeah.
So we got hit in the butt. I mean, she's okay. Everybody was fine, but I got a ton of personal messages from friends messaging me oh my god, how do you not have an eye patch? How are you guys nobody's dead or bleeding? I'm like, it's amazing, right?
Yeah. Right.
Welcome to Rotor Riot. You guys want us to be reckless and dangerous, and then you yell at us for being reckless and dangerous.
I know. It's terrible. So first off, I want to say, I know it's been a while. Congratulations on being named a Rotor Riot pilot. I feel like that's an accomplishment.
Thank you.
And I know that when I started flying drones, I was like, man, I'm going to be a Rotor Riot pilot one day. And instead, I just interview people. But congratulations. I think that's pretty awesome. So we typically start off the interview tell me your origin story. How did you get into drones? When did it start? How did it all begin?
So a couple of years ago, I've always been super duper active and outside, anything outdoors I'm all about. I love hiking. I love doing that kind of stuff. Mm-hmm. I was out hiking one day, and we don't stay on trail a whole lot. We typically go and find our own little paths and then get back on trail when it's time to head home. Mm-hmm. We were out hanging out and blazing a path, and we were going around these pretty dangerous little outcrops that were there was a cliff and water, and it was little edges that we were edging around the cliffs to get to these other little spots. And it was every little side that we went around, we found an even cooler area, and we were like, oh, we just have to keep going. Mm-hmm. So we're going, and we go around this particularly dangerous spot that was really, we probably shouldn't have done it. And we get to the other side, and it's a dead end. There's nowhere to go. We have to turn around and backtrack while still on the ledge. It was tight. It was really sketchy. And I remember the whole time just sitting there holding on to the side thinking, man, it would have been really cool to go around the corner of this and see what was over here before I did it. Mm-hmm. And immediately the video of the drones flying in the woods, the Mountain View video, from a couple years ago, that video popped into my head, and I was like, huh, I wonder what that's all about. So of course, after we get back from the trip, I start doing some research, and I find the Mavics in Kickstarter. Yeah. And I was just like, oh, these are cool, perfect for what I need. They're compact, everything like that. Because of course I found all the big ones, and I was like, oh, that's way too big. All of the Phantoms and all that stuff pulled up immediately, and I'm like, no, it's way too big. I need something that fits in my pack. So I come into the Mavics, and I was like, this is cool, but Kickstarter, no, I don't want to give you guys my money. That's super sketch. That'll never happen, you know? So I went to Target, and I bought the $100-ish video drone that they had, and I was like, I'm going to see if I can even fly this before I get into this, because I started looking at how to build mini quads and all the everything involved in it. I was like, let me see if I can even do this first. So I
Mhm.
got this little Sky Viper and I took it up and fell in love. And then about 2 weeks later, my husband and my brother, they took it up and they fell in love. And it was just one of those things that after they got involved, it just sort of like we all got involved and we all got a bunch of little Hubsons and a bunch of little Banggood specials
The
and put
Hubson,
cameras
that's what
on
I
them.
started on.
And we put cameras on them and we zipped them around and then they just weren't fast enough and they didn't have enough punch and we couldn't, you can't put better motors or anything on them. So of
Right.
course that evolved into my very first one that I built for me was a Martian 2 and it
Mm-hmm.
had Mr. Steel V1 Silkies on it and it was
Mm-hmm.
all kissed out. I had like the cheapo Mr. Steel build,
Mm-hmm.
for the budget person. But that was like I had little things before that. Yeah, the
Yeah.
V1s were awesome. I
They
haven't
were
tried
awesome.
the
They were great
newer one.
motors.
I wasn't a big fan of the V2s, but the V1s were like maybe
Yeah.
my second favorite motor of all time.
I flew the V1s up until maybe a few weeks ago, and I bent one. I had a screw come out, had a crash, and it bent the bottom and wedged the bell. And I couldn't. I was trying as hard as I could to get it to bend back, but it wouldn't. So I eventually replaced them with the Hype Train motors, which I also like a lot. But anyways, go on.
But yeah, so got into like I said, like the Hubsons and stuff like that, and we put
Hmm.
little cameras on them, and then we started. I think the very first like quad that we had, it was a used frame that we got from the local group. Like we hooked up with the local group that was barely a group,
Hmm.
and we went out there and met with them, and we picked up this. It said Iceman on the bottom of it. And I don't even know, like, couldn't find any information about this frame anywhere
Right.
ever.
Yeah.
Nothing, like, no spare parts,
Right.
no
Yeah.
nothing. It was just one of those things. It was just like, I just remember it said Iceman was like etched in the bottom of it. And I was like, okay. And I think that's still floating around, like, my home group. Like, one of the guys, I think, still has it. And it's gone from,
Hmm.
like, new person to new person, I
Right.
feel.
Yeah.
But yeah, after we started doing that, me and my brother and my husband, we helped establish our local multi GP group back home.
Hmm.
Um, we helped get it up and running, and we were racing a lot. And I was racing quite a bit in the beginning, and then it was like at the races, I would end up doing all of the organizing,
Hmm.
and the boys would all be racing, and then I would end up flying freestyle afterwards.
Hmm.
And at that point, it was just like, huh, well, racing's fun and all,
Hmm.
but there's a lot of stuff over there that I have to deal with and like numbers, and I really just want to come over here and fly and
Hmm.
do whatever I want to do and not pay attention and be in the same place as everybody else. So I sort of stepped away and fell in love with freestyle, and it just here I am.
That's awesome. Yeah, I never got into the racing thing. I think I went to two races, only raced in one. I think I completed 2 laps in multi GP total. It's just, yeah, racing just never really tripped my trigger. Um,
I uh, I want to try again. Like I've been
hmm.
on a racetrack I think once in the last year,
Hmm.
and it was something like I did well. I got I think second on the B class podium,
Hmm.
and it's like the only time I've raced in the last 2 years.
Hmm.
But it's something that I think I'm actually gonna go and try to spend a little bit of time down in Texas, and Alex is gonna give me some pointers, and I'm gonna do Camp Vanover for like
Oh
two
man.
or three
Yeah.
weeks and
Yeah.
really like get like the real hardcore stuff. We were actually
Yeah.
talking about this evening about me heading out there sometime maybe in December.
Camp.
So
Yeah. I've heard stories about Camp Vanover. And it sounds amazing. I can only imagine that Alex is sitting there with like a ruler behind you being like, faster, faster. I've probably,
I could see that. Like we've been talking about it for months,
yeah.
and I've been trying to get out to Texas anyway for probably about a year. But
Uh-huh.
both of our schedules have like this little opening where it might work, and we're like,
Yeah.
I could maybe make it out to Texas for like 2 or 3 weeks in December, maybe. We'll see.
That's awesome. Yeah.
If everything lines up.
I mean, if you're gonna go practice, you might as well practice with one of the best in the world.
Exactly.
Basically.
And well, not
Basically.
only that, but Alex is super fun. Like
Yeah. Oh, he
he's
seems that
really
way.
intense,
Yeah.
but he's overall one of the coolest people I've ever met. Like for being as young as
Mhm.
he is, he's so driven, it's
Mhm.
unreal. Like if I had half the amount of drive he does right now when I was his age, I would probably be like running the planet right now
Mhm.
because it's unreal. So having
Yeah.
somebody like that with that much like drive and that much motivation and just like behind you, sitting there
Yeah.
giving you pointers and being like, no, push yourself. Yeah, I
Yeah.
think that would be definitely the best scenario if you wanted to learn more about racing as
Yeah.
opposed to just going out there and crashing a whole bunch.
You'll probably after that walk back into the racing scene and just crush people like a bug. Would be my guess.
Have
Yeah,
a
I
little bit of
still
that like Alex Vanover magic rub off
right.
on and
Yeah.
just
I mean, even
you
if
know,
just
steal
a
like a
little
lock
bit
of
of
his
it rubs
hair.
off. Yeah. I watch some of his videos, and I mean, I'm 42. I've slowed down. Like I can feel it. My kids are faster than I am at certain things, and I watch his videos, and I'm just like just watching them, I can't even keep up. Like I can't imagine flying that way. Like it'd be unbelievable. But yeah,
It's
he's
unreal.
actually he's been on the show twice, and he's great. So I have a deep respect and profound liking for him. So I'd like to thank Jamie for coming on. At the end of the day, it is not easy to put yourself out there. It's not easy to live your life in some form of public venue, albeit what we show is edited to some degree. As a woman, it seems like it's a harder road to travel than as a 40-some-year-old white guy. So I appreciate that Jamie was willing to come on and be open and honest with, her story. I hope that you enjoyed it, and I hope that you all will continue to tune in. I'd like to thank my patrons. They're pretty awesome. If you'd like to be a patron, link in the description below. If you'd like to sign on to Jamie's Patreon, you can find a link in the description below, as well as a link to her YouTube channel. Anyways, with that, we're wrapped up. I'll talk to y'all soon. Bye.